Pisces. This is going to be your love and relationship reading for February 2019. And I'm going to try to keep these short, but still slightly in depth at least, where it's not too short. So this is for February 2019. Pisces rising, Pisces sun, Pisces moon, in their best, highest good, along with whatever they most need to hear concerning relationships. And of course, because this reading is more specific, it's probably not going to apply for all of you. You'll know whether this resonates or not. If this doesn't resonate, you may want to check out your other two out of the rising sun and moon. See if any of those apply more. Okay. If you hear weird noises, that's my dog. Okay, I'm going to show you your cards and then I'll get started. Your first one, I'm picking 6 card spreads here, and this one came out with a few clarifiers. The first one is the 5 of Pentacles. The second one is the Ace of Swords. The third one is the Tower. I'm probably going to pick another one after this for those of you that this doesn't apply for. Your fourth one is the 4 of Pentacles. Your fifth one is the Lovers. And your sixth one is the Chariot. And then you have some clarifiers. So, you have the 5 of Pentacles over the 4 of Pentacles for the past. This is what you're coming away from. For those of you that this reading is meant for, this says that in the past, or you're coming away from a period of feeling as if you don't have what you need and wanting to cling to what you have, or wanting to preserve what you have. There's something, this could even mean, pardon me for being honest, but this is one thing I'm getting, is that you may have been subconsciously hanging on to the feeling of that you won't find what you need. It may be something that's gotten ingrained in you. If that doesn't apply, then it may even be saying that you haven't really had time for relationships because you've been focusing on finances and work. You may have been strapped for money, and so you've had to hunker down and really focus on the basics in your life. And that hasn't really made it easy for you to be able to have a relationship or date or spend time on a relationship. If you look at the 5 of Pentacles here, there's a happy couple inside the house in the window, and the child and the adult that are outside are looking, at least the child looks like it's looking forward, but the adult looks as if it's looking in through the window, wishing that it could have that. He or she could have that. So you may have felt left out in the past with relationships. Or if you are in a relationship, it's gotten a little too stagnant and you both may be worried more about money than anything else, or you may feel left out in a relationship as if it has gotten too mundane, it's the same thing every day or the same routine all the time. It needs to have life breathed back into the relationship again. It's become too stagnant in how it is. It may even be that you feel as if you have been taken for granted, or you're being taken for granted. So presently, you'll know whether this reading applies for you because that past would have made sense. If it doesn't, then you may want to check out a quick one after this. So presently, there's the Ace of Swords over the Lovers. So you're at a crossroads right now in a relationship, if you've been in one, where you're you're having to make a decision on whether you continue to go with the relationship, or whether you leave the relationship behind, or whether you want this relationship. If it doesn't involve leaving a relationship and you're in one and you're committed, it does say that there needs to be a new path in the relationship concerning communication, where you need to communicate more, or listen to each other more, or they need to listen to you more, or you need to listen to them more. You may even want to open up to your partner, if you're in a relationship, about how you've been feeling about the relationship. If the other person cannot listen, or cannot understand where you're coming from, or can't patiently listen to what you have to say, then it's probably not the relationship for you. If you're going to be in a healthy relationship, a lot of that involves proper communication. If you feel as if the person is listening to you and can hear what you're trying to say, then you know it's a keeper, and you know it's something that you can work with. This goes the other way around too, you guys. It may be that your partner might need to say something to you or communicate to you about something. The Ace of Swords is not just communication and new ideas, it's also making decisions. So it may be that you're up for a huge time presently where it's make it or break it on whether the relationship lasts. If you are single and you're not in a relationship, this may be you deciding to get into a relationship, or you're ready for one, or this time period in the past where you've been struggling a little bit is over, and so now you're deciding that you are ready to be able to make a choice on a relationship, or choose someone, or someone chooses you, or you meet someone really important, where you're at a crossroads and you need to decide whether you want this or not, or whether you can do this or not. This can also be really easy communication too, but something about it involves a choice. You may need to make a major choice together on where you want to go from here on, or what you would like to see adjusted in the future. You have the Tower over the Chariot. To me, this is telling me you guys need to shift, or you need to go on some kind of a trip together, or decide what your goals are in the relationship together. Otherwise, if you can't find clarity, if you have no direction for the relationship, or if you don't get away from whatever this routine has been and possibly go on a trip, or look at things in a different way, the relationship is going to continue to deteriorate or get worse, or it may even come to a crash. If you do decide presently that you want to keep this relationship, you need to see if your partner and yourself can come up with future goals, or can communicate clearly, or even communicate about your emotions to each other. If you can't do this, or this is hard to do, the relationship may end up crumbling from the inside out. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is something forces you guys out of your rut, and takes the rut away, where you're possibly even faced with the possibility of having to move, or having to change directions in the relationship, and have goals in mind. Otherwise, where you've been is crumbling. I got 2 clarifiers with this combination. One is the King of Swords, and the other one is the Ace of Pentacles. So for some of you, you may end up deciding that this is the relationship for you, or the relationship does have a very good chance of growing and continuing and lasting in a fruitful way. However, again, what I'm getting from this reading is that this is a moment of choice, and your choice or the choice on the relationship will be determined on whether or not you can communicate with one another. This is a huge theme in here. So it may be that you guys have gotten to be a little bit too mundane or too concerned with everyday earthly things, but you're realizing if this is going to be a healthy relationship, or if you're going to take this relationship someplace, you need to be able to communicate with each other. This could even possibly be for some of you that that relationship was not growing properly and it fell apart, and now you're deciding to possibly go in a new direction, as in a new relationship or a new location or a new situation for yourself. So that wasn't the happiest of Valentine's Day month readings for relationships, but that was for someone. So you'll quickly find out in the future whether it's going to work or not, and it all depends on communication. Let me do a quick spread for those of you that that is not going on for, and see if possibly this resonates for you. Pisces, rising sun and moon. Give me a different story for relationships for those of them that that did not resonate for. Please. Ugh, that one's even worse. I don't even know if I want to do that one. Let me see what the other 3 are. I don't know what's going on with you Pisceans. This month seems complicated for relationships. I was hoping for better for you. Okay. Okay. Your first one is the Ten of Swords. Your second one is the Devil. Your third one is the Five of Wands. It gets better, you guys. Those first 3 were rough. See what I mean? I almost didn't want to do this reading, but apparently this is coming out for someone. So your fourth one is the Six of Wands. Your fifth one is the Hermit. And your sixth one, again, is the Ace of Pentacles. So in the past, you may have possibly felt backstabbed or gossiped about or betrayed by a relationship, or someone could have possibly perceived you as being this way too. Just to make this reading fair, just in case, but it does feel like a painful ending, or some kind of a painful ending. The good news is that you're over it now, or the worst is over and you've been coming back up to happiness and success. If there was possible cruelty involved, it looks as if you got justice, or something was justice was served considering this relationship or this situation with a painful ending. It looks as if you have your victory over being unfairly treated or possibly even backstabbed. This is just, sorry, this either resonates or it doesn't. So the good news is with the Six of Wands here, you rose above it, or you've been feeling better as far as possibly even recovering from a painful ending in a relationship. Presently, it feels as if you're single, or just dating, or interested in people, but maybe not necessarily in relationships right now. So presently, you are looking at your old patterns to do with relationships with which you have drawn to yourself in the past. You're taking a really good, close look at it, and you're choosing to be neutral concerning yourself without giving yourself a hard time, without blaming yourself or others. You're just clearly taking a really close look at possible problems that have happened before as far as patterns go, or you may be feeling bound to a situation or trapped in a situation, or you don't know how to break out of old patterns. You may have drawn in people off and on in the past that had addiction issues. Either they drank too much, or they smoked too much, or they did something too much, or you may have been tied to relationships because of things like sex or sexual addiction, or because the sex was so good you held on to toxic situations, or something about it. This feels like it's old and it comes from a long time ago, possibly relationships being modeled to you by your own parents, or things that you were subconsciously taught by others at a young age. You may have even, for some of you, had to deal with abuse, or have been in toxic relationships that were either verbally, emotionally, or physically abusive. But you're really looking at this. You're really deciding to come clean with flushing this out and healing this to the best of your ability, so you don't continue to draw this in. And you're looking at where this comes from, or what this, even just seeing the truth of a situation too. So in the future, for some of you, there may be some kind of a situation where you and others are vying for the same person's attentions, or the same person in general as far as dating goes. If this is the case for some of you, then it looks as if you win the person that you wanted, or you're choosing to not get engaged in this competition type energy. If you are in a relationship and there are some fights coming up in the future, or some adjustments, or even some internal conflicts that you have, it looks as if there's a possibility of it getting resolved, or the fighting to level out, or to calm down, or for things to grow better. It looks as if you feel as if you need to prove yourself, or you need to speak up about what you need in relationships, or you're at odds with yourself on what you're manifesting with relationships. But it doesn't look as if it's going to overcome you. It looks as if you overcome this conflict, or you're able to bring peace to a situation where there has been conflict. Let me pull a clarifier on those and see if I get any more information. Okay. On the top, the clarifier for the 5 of Wands is the 10 of Wands. So possibly you've been fighting in a relationship, or feeling aggravated or annoyed because you are simply taking on too much in the relationship, taking on too much responsibility. Either you're the one who's working the most, or bringing in the most money, or spending the most energy on the relationship. You may feel as if your partner needs to step up a notch and help you carry things. Part of this feeling of carrying everything yourself is really getting to you. And it looks as if, again, you are faced with some kind of a decision or choice on whether this relationship will be able to continue to grow in a healthy way. If you are single, it looks as if you can overcome old patterns that have to do with feeling as if you either don't have time, or you always seem to attract people that are argumentative or have anger issues, or you end up carrying more of the load than the other person in relationships, you are actively working on clearing this out in the future, and that enables you to be able to make much better choices and draw in much better people for you, where you both work together and are both able to nurture the relationship equally and are both able to create something that you can continue to grow and that's solid and calm and where there's good communication. You may be unexpectedly meeting someone this month that is more significant than you realize. And the more you clear out this old garbage that's left over from betrayals or past hurts with relationships, the better off you'll be with being able to accept this for what it is, instead of being afraid that it's going to fall apart or not be what you thought. But this combination looks really nice to me. So hopefully this helped or made sense. You'll have to let me know, and I shall see you in the mid-month for your random messages from the universe if you would like to watch those. So take care. Bye. Love you guys.